Our head teacher is a supervillain. Written by Tommy Donbevand. Illustrated by Julian Mosdale. Yellow eyes. Miss Carr stood at the front of the classroom and fixed us with a strange stare. "She's doing it again," I whispered to Holly, who was sitting beside me. "Doing what?" she asked, looking at us with her yellow, swirling eyes, I said. Holly nodded. "All the teachers are doing that spinning eye thing now." "Silence!" bellowed Miss Carr. "You are only allowed to speak if you want to say, 'I'd like to do extra hard maths.'" "I'd like to do extra hard maths," I laughed. "Thank you for that, Max Foster," Miss Carr announced. "You can stay after school to do extra hard maths." "What?" I cried. "No, I didn't mean that I wanted." The bell rang for lunchtime and everyone jumped to their feet. "Sit down," shouted Miss Carr. Everyone did as they were told. Miss Carr held up some sheets of paper. "These are the updated school rules, written by our wonderful new head teacher, Mr. Roberts," she said. "You must do exactly as they say from this moment on. I want everyone to take a copy for their parents." We all took a list of rules to put in our bags. "Look at this," I hissed, reading the first line. "Rule 1. No pupil will be allowed out at playtime unless they have passed a daily spelling test." But Holly didn't reply. Instead, she grabbed my arm and we waited till everyone had left the classroom. "We're not supposed to be in here at lunchtime," I said. "And our teacher's eyes aren't supposed to spin round in their sockets," said Holly. "Something's wrong." "You're telling me something's wrong," I exclaimed, looking at the new school rules. Rule 2. Pupils must eat cabbage stew or sprout surprise for lunch. Yuck! "Things have been strange ever since Mr. Roberts took over as head teacher last week," said Holly. "Strange?" I said, waving my sheet of paper in front of her. "Rule 3. All PE will now take place outdoors, no matter what the weather. That's not strange. That's cruel." Holly scowled. "We need to find out what's going on." "I agree," I said. "But not today. I promised I'd play football at lunchtime." Holly pointed to the next rule on the list. "Rule 4. All pupils are banned from playing football," I read aloud. "Okay, we need to find out what's going on." The staff room. Holly and I crept out of the classroom and made our way quietly across the school hall. We reached the staff room door. "Wait," I whispered. "What if the teachers are in there?" "Only one way to find out," Holly said. We opened the staff room door and stepped inside. In all my time at Riverside Primary School, I'd never been in the staff room before. I don't know quite what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. It was so boring. There were just chairs, a table, some bookshelves, a cupboard, and a place for the teachers to collect their mail. "They're called pigeonholes," said Holly, noticing where I was looking. "And look, the teachers have all got a list of new school rules in there too." I pulled one of the sheets out and read a line. Rule 5. Pupils are not allowed to smile. Holly looked surprised. "That's really odd." I shrugged. "You haven't seen me during a science test. I never smile." I opened the cupboard and froze. "We're looking for clues," Holly said, rifling through the magazines on the table. "Anything that might give us an idea about what's going on." I said nothing. "Max!" Holly snapped. "Are you listening to me?" I nodded, staring at the 6 teachers tied up and gagged in front of me in the store cupboard. "I'm listening," I said, "and I think I may have found a clue." Supervillain! Miss Carr, the real Miss Carr, was fighting against the ropes, holding her arms in place, as were the other 5 teachers alongside her. I reached inside the cupboard and pulled the gag from her mouth. "Max! Holly!" she gasped. "The teachers with swirly eyes are all robot clones. You have to watch out for the new head teacher, Mr. Roberts. He's a supervillain," finished a voice behind us. Holly and I spun round to find Mr. Roberts standing behind us, smoothing down the wrinkles in his brown suit. "You're a supervillain?" I scoffed, looking Mr. Roberts up and down. "Yes," said our new head teacher uncomfortably. "What's wrong with that?" "You don't look like a supervillain for start," I said. "Not in that brown suit." Mr. Roberts sneered. "Then how about this?" He began to spin on the spot. After a moment, there was a flash of light, and Mr. Roberts stopped turning. He was now dressed in a beige jumpsuit with a letter D on the front and a brown corduroy cape. "I'm Dr. Dull," he cried. "It's my mission to rid the world of excitement." Holly took a step forward. "All excitement?" she asked. "Like shopping for clothes?" Dr. Dull sneered. "Especially shopping for clothes." "Stand back," I said to Holly. "I can handle this. Although, let's agree to keep clothes shopping on the ban list after we are done. That really is dull." "Try your hardest, boy," barked Dr. Dull. Joke time. I stared Dr. Dull in the face. "Okay, what do you call a man with a seagull on his head?" I asked. Dr. Dull frowned. "I don't know," he admitted. "What do you call a man with a seagull on his head?" "Cliff," I smiled. 1 or 2 of the teachers in the cupboard chuckled. Dr. Dull reeled back, as though injured by some powerful weapon. "Keep going," urged Holly. "Tell him another joke." "Tell me about the man with 5 legs," I demanded. I can't," said Dr. Dull, staggering backwards. His trousers fitted him like a glove, I yelled. I heard sniggers behind me. Ah! grunted Dr. Dull, down on his knees. No more! But I wasn't ready to give up just yet. Where do astronauts leave their spaceships? I roared. Dr. Dull fell to the ground. I don't know, he gasped. I smiled. At parking meteors. Behind me, the teachers laughed out loud. Dr. Dull held his hands to his ears. I can't stand the laughter, he howled. There was a growing fizzing sound, and then Dr. Dull disappeared in an explosion of brown mist. Holly and I raced to untie our teachers. We'll deal with those rotten robots, said one of the teachers as they ran out of the room. How can I ever thank you, Max? Asked the real Miss Carr. Well, I said with a smile, how about no homework for the rest of the school year? Nice try, beamed Miss Carr. Let's get out of here. But, as we made for the door, Holly slammed it shut and turned the key in the lock. I can't let you do that, she said. Why not? I demanded. Holly's eyes turned yellow and started to swirl. Because letting you escape is not on the list of new school rules,